Archaeologists in Egypt are celebrating a newly unearthed tomb as a one-of-a-kind find.
Every year, more than 1 million visitors walk through a narrow sandstone canyon in southern Jordan, emerge into open air, and find themselves standing before one of the most breathtaking structures on the face of the earth. They photograph it, sketch it, film it, and stand silently in front of it trying to absorb what they are seeing. The rose-red facade rises nearly 140 feet above the canyon floor, carved by human hands directly into the living rock of a cliff face over 2,000 years ago. Most of them look at the surface. Almost none of them think about what might be underneath. In August 2024, a joint Jordanian and American research team working beneath the forecourt of that very structure opened a sealed underground chamber that had not been disturbed since the 1st century before the Common Era. What they found inside, reported in October 2024 by institutions including NPR, CNN, and NBC News, immediately became one of the most talked about archaeological announcements of the year. And the more detail that emerged about the discovery, the harder it became to fully process what it revealed. The structure beneath which the chamber was found is the treasury, also known in Arabic as Al-Khazna, a monument carved into the pink sandstone cliffs at the heart of the ancient city of Petra, recognized as one of the 7 wonders of the world and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The treasury is believed to have served as a mausoleum rather than a vault for stored wealth, despite its popular name, which came from Bedouin legends about hidden treasure. Researchers from the University of St. Andrews in Scotland were given access to explore the site in coordination with Jordanian authorities, with the expedition led by Dr. Pierce Paul Kreisman of the American Center of Research, a non-profit organization based in Amman. The trigger for the investigation was not a new theory or a dramatic hunch. It was the recognition that a discovery made in 2003, when 2 tombs were found beneath the left side of the monument's forecourt, had never been fully followed up on. The question of whether there might be additional chambers on the right side had lingered unanswered for more than 2 decades, with the persistent thought among specialists that more tombs might exist, though none containing actual intact burials had ever been found. The 2024 discovery was made partly by accident, in the sense that the initial scanning was conducted as part of a study examining the ground beneath the treasury to plan for future flood mitigation projects, using electromagnetic surveying alongside ground-penetrating radar. That technology sends invisible pulses of energy into the ground and reads the signals that bounce back when those pulses encounter a change in material, producing a rough but readable map of what lies beneath the surface without disturbing a single grain of sand. What the scans produced on the right side of the treasury's forecourt were clear, unmistakable void signals, geometric shapes at consistent depth that matched exactly the patterns the 2003 tomb discoveries had produced on the left side. Professor Richard Bates, a geophysicist at the University of St. Andrews who was part of the team, described how the discovery of the void signals on the right side produced identical radar patterns to the known tomb sites, providing the evidence needed to apply to the Jordanian government for an excavation permit. The permit was granted. Rather than digging straight down through solid rock, which would have damaged the monument above, the team dug carefully from outside the structure toward the detected void, working entirely by hand. As they moved through dry sand and loose stone toward the depth the radar had identified, something changed in the air. The temperature dropped. A cold draft came from below in the middle of a desert landscape where the heat at that time of year is relentless. What they reached was a rectangular chamber cut into the bedrock beneath the treasury, sealed and untouched. Inside the chamber were 12 complete human skeletons, along with an extensive array of grave offerings, all estimated to be at least 2,000 years old and found exactly where they had been placed. Finding one complete skeleton in Petra is extremely rare, let alone 12, given that most tombs discovered over the past 2 centuries have contained only artifact fragments or a small number of remains, and a find of this scale at one of the most excavated and studied sites in the world had simply not happened before. Josh Gates, the host of Discovery Channel's Expedition Unknown, which filmed the excavation for its season premiere, described the find as hugely rare, noting that in the 2 centuries during which archaeologists had been investigating Petra, nothing comparable to this had ever been found. The remains ranged in age from children to adults, indicating that this was a family burial rather than a ceremonial or ritual deposit of unrelated individuals. Dating analysis conducted by Dr. Tim Kinnaird from the University of St. Andrews placed the construction of the tomb between the mid-1st century before the Common Era and the early 2nd century of the Common Era, placing it squarely within the period of Nabatean civilization at the height of its power and influence. Among the grave goods found alongside the skeletons was a ceramic vessel described by the British team as bearing a striking resemblance to the prop used in the 1989 film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, in which the treasury serves as the cinematic resting place of the Holy Grail. Detailed examination of the vessel identified it as the upper portion of a broken jug, likely dating to the 1st century before the Common Era, consistent with the period of the burial. The parallel between the fictional Grail quest set at this precise location and the real discovery of a ceramic vessel held within a sealed chamber found directly beneath the filming site was not lost on anyone who reported it. To understand why the intact state of this burial was so striking, you need to understand what Petra's history of tomb disturbance actually looks like. The city contains hundreds of carved rock tombs cut into the cliffs throughout the site, built over several centuries by the Nabatean people who established Petra as their capital around the 4th century before the Common Era. The serried rows of rock-cut tombs carved into the cliffs at Petra reflect architectural influences ranging from Assyrian to Hellenistic and represent one of the outstanding testimonies to the Nabatean civilization, according to UNESCO's designation of the site as a World Heritage Property. But the vast majority of those tombs were emptied long ago, their contents removed by looters across the centuries of occupation, abandonment, and rediscovery that characterized the site's history. Finding a chamber that had remained sealed and undisturbed since it was originally packed with sand and closed was, as Richard Bates put it, exactly what the researchers had hoped for but never assumed they would actually encounter. The people who built both the chamber and the extraordinary monument above it were the Nabateans, a civilization whose origins remain partially unclear but who established themselves across the landscape of what is now southern Jordan and the surrounding region beginning around the 4th century before the Common Era. The city of Petra was first founded around 312 before the Common Era by the Nabatean Empire and remained a viable inhabited city for close to 1,000 years, requiring a water system robust enough to sustain its population across that entire span. The challenge they faced was almost laughably severe. Petra sits in a harsh mountainous canyon in the arid desert of southern Jordan that receives an average of just 6 inches of rainfall per year, and the Nabateans who built the city there faced 2 simultaneous and contradictory problems: an extreme lack of water during the dry months and the deadly violence of flash floods during the winter rainy season. The solution they engineered in response to those twin threats remains one of the most impressive achievements in the history of hydraulic infrastructure anywhere in the ancient world. The Nabateans built a system of dams and bypass tunnels to protect the central areas of Petra from flood damage while simultaneously directing that runoff into storage facilities, with diversion dams holding back floodwaters from the surrounding basin and releasing them gradually, and hundreds of underground cisterns carved into solid rock throughout the city keeping stored water cool and protected from evaporation in the desert heat. The narrow canyon that serves as the primary entrance to the city, ran a covered water channel along its left side that carried fresh spring water directly from the natural source in the valley above into the city center. Every surface slope of the channel system was calculated to maintain a precise gradient, steep enough that water would keep flowing under its own weight but gentle enough that the force would not erode or damage the carved stone conduits carrying it. That calculation was maintained accurately across miles of rough and uneven terrain without any of the measurement tools available to modern engineers. Analysis of the system published in academic literature identified that Petra's daily water requirement would have been approximately 1,800 cubic meters, equivalent to roughly 475,000 US gallons per day, based on the population and public area requirements of the city at its height. The system met that demand consistently throughout the year. In the middle of one of the most hostile environments on the planet, the result was a city with flowing water, public gardens, and a large pool adjacent to the Great Temple that modern observers have compared favorably to the civic water infrastructure of much larger and better resourced ancient cities. Positioned between the Red Sea and the Dead Sea, Petra served as an important crossroads connecting Arabia, Egypt, and Syria-Phoenicia, making it a central node in the incense and spice trade routes that moved vast wealth across the ancient Near East and into the Mediterranean world. The city reached a population estimated at between 30,000 and 40,000 people at its peak, a number that represented an extraordinary achievement of urban planning in a location where basic survival should have been beyond reach. The Nabateans' water system exploitation involved all possible water resources using management techniques that balanced reservoir storage capacity with continuous flow pipeline systems to maintain a constant water supply throughout both the wet and dry seasons of each year. The decline of Petra unfolded gradually rather than catastrophically. In 106 of the Common Era, the Roman Emperor Trajan annexed the Nabatean kingdom and brought the city under Roman administration. The Romans invested in expanding several of Petra's civic structures, including enlarging the theater and developing additional colonnade streets. But the shift that ultimately undermined Petra's position had nothing to do with military conquest. As Roman commerce increasingly favored maritime trade routes through the Red Sea over the long overland caravan journeys that had made Petra wealthy, the city's strategic importance eroded. The trade that had sustained 30,000 people redirected itself elsewhere, and the revenue and population followed. A severe earthquake in 363 of the Common Era caused widespread destruction to the city's infrastructure, including critical sections of the water management system that had made life possible in the desert, and a second major earthquake in 551 compounded the damage. By the 7th century, the great trading capital had contracted into a much smaller settlement, and the knowledge of its existence gradually faded from the memory of the broader world until a Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt rediscovered it in 1812. What the 2024 discovery added to this picture was a direct physical connection to the people who built it all, untouched by the centuries of disruption that had erased almost every other intimate trace of them. Dr. Kriesman said in a press statement that mysteries about the treasury still remain, including when exactly this remarkable structure was built and why, and that the dig had the potential to completely change what researchers know about the treasury and help solve the mysteries of the Nabatean people. That work is ongoing. The next steps depend substantially on funding, and researchers are working to secure the resources needed to properly exhume at least one of the skeletons and conduct the full range of scientific analysis the find deserves. DNA analysis, isotope studies of diet and geographic origin, detailed examination of the ceramic and other grave goods, and further ground-penetrating radar surveys of the surrounding forecourt all remain on the table. The site has been described by researchers as representing only a fraction of Petra as it once existed, with much of the ancient city remaining unexcavated beneath the sand and rock visible today. The sealed chamber found in August 2024 is the most complete window yet opened onto a civilization that built an extraordinary city in an impossible place, sustained it for 1,000 years through engineering that still draws admiration from modern researchers, and then quietly disappeared, leaving behind carved stone facades and the bones of the people they held.